people don't want to do business with business. They want to do business with people. And so what makes your business different from every other business out there is you.
You're with The Capitalist Sage, a twice-a-month podcast that seeks out entrepreneurs and experts that speak to the real-world life of doing business for their sage advice. Now, with your hosts, Karl Barham and Rico Figliolini.
Welcome to The Capitalist Sage podcast. We're here to bring you advice and tips from seasoned pros and experts to help you improve your business. I'm Karl Barham with Transworld Business Advisors, and my co-host is Rico Figliolini with Mighty Rockets Digital Marketing and the publisher of the Petrie Corner magazine. Hey, Rico, how you doing?
Good, Karl. It's a beautiful day considering how much rain we had the other day.
I know. The storm is come past, and now we're hopefully get some better days going ahead. Things are getting cooler for the fall. Yeah. Why don't you introduce our sponsors?
Yes, lead sponsor is Hargrave Fiber. Hargrave Fiber is a Southeast-based company that does internet connectivity. They handle fiber optics, which is the main drive of any internet home or office, right? So they're in the communities that they serve as well. So they're not your cable guy, right? They're not a company that just has an office there. They're involved in the communities that they're in, whether they're involved with local companies. So, for example, in Petrie Corners, they're involved with Curiosity Lab in Petrie Corners, with the city. They're providing internet connectivity to a lot of companies in the area. So if you are interested in fiber optics in a company that's local, that has a local presence, and that can give you the tools you need, like smart office tools to be able to operate your employees at home or in the office, reach out to hargravefiber.com, or you could go to hargrave.com/business. And they have a promotion going on, a $1,000 Visa gift card for those companies that qualify becoming a client of theirs. So check them out.
Well, that's fabulous. Everyone needs more internet, more speed, and glad to have good businesses like Hargrave in our community to help business owners with that. Today, I am honored and pleased to have a great guest. In this fourth quarter, as we're coming in rounding out 2020, most business owners have seen all sorts of impacts. Some have grown, some have stayed the same, some have actually seen some reduction in their customer. But what I know for sure, if you're going to have a great fourth quarter and start off 2021 well, you got to focus on growth. And today we have Lisa McGuire here to talk about how small business owners can really focus their marketing and sales efforts in concert to help them really have a springboard to their growth in 2020 through 2021. Hi, Lisa. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Karl. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, pleasure. Well, Lisa McGuire is a business growth and advisor and a marketing consultant with Open Window Marketing. And I'd love for her to introduce herself and tell a little bit of how she helps people in business.
So one thing we know is when business owners started their business, they wanted to do the work they love. They didn't necessarily want to wear all the hats that a business owner has to wear when running a business. So what I do is I come in and help them determine how to figure out who their ideal client is, how do they connect with that client, what message does that client need to hear to be able to engage with them, and then how to grow their business through marketing that works. And then it filters into the other areas, productivity, the mission of their company, the culture of their workforce too.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you, I look at a lot of P&Ls for business owners. And one of the things that really becomes apparent, I look at how one business owner spends on marketing and ask them questions about that. And then I look at another one who may not do a lot of marketing. You'll hear a lot of, I grew my business through referrals and so on. And I realize there's a big difference when you look at the performance of growth, those that focus on that marketing versus those that don't. So, but when they start business, they didn't really think about that. Well, what are some of the mistakes you see business owners making when it comes to marketing their business in general?
Yeah, just kind of marketing their business in general, what they're looking at. They're looking at, okay, what is it that I have to sell and how can I push it out to get as many people to buy it as possible? They're not looking at it from the customer perspective of what do they need to hear. All they know is I've got this many widgets to sell, or I've got to book this many billable hours. And what can I do to make people buy from me? And so what they end up doing is they've got this message they repeat over and over that isn't connecting with their client. They put a lot of money into tactical things. They'll do Facebook ads. They'll pay a lot of money for SEO to get people to come to their website. But what happens is the message that they're using either to get people there or once they are on the site, it's not converting because it doesn't matter to the customer. They talk about features, they forget about benefits.
Wow. Well, this year got to be really interesting. For many businesses, because of the pandemic, their customers may have changed. Either new customers are coming to them or what their existing customer needs have changed. How would you walk someone through looking at a situation like that?
Yes, and this has been a year that was unthinkable. We never could have imagined it. And so if you think about back to January, February, we had pre-pandemic customers. Things were going along. If you remember just a couple months before that, we were celebrating a new decade. There were all kinds of analogies to 2020 vision. We're going to make this a decade that really makes a difference. And then the unthinkable happened. We had this global pandemic. And really the whole world, as far as the business world in the United States and probably across the globe too, just kind of came to a standstill. We were in a period, if you remember back, think when they said, if you just quarantine for a couple of weeks, we'll get through this. And so it was uncharted territory. So here's what we found with businesses. They did one of three things. They either continued with their marketing as usual, they used a different message and pivoted their message, or they said nothing at all. So if we look at those three things, continuing marketing business as usual would tell their customers, you're insensitive to what's happening in my life. Why are you going on acting like this world has not changed? The ones that went quiet, what happened is they made a space for other businesses to come in and take their place. But the businesses that won, the businesses that did well, were businesses who, first of all, acknowledged what was happening and became very empathetic to your customers. There was and continues to be, but initially, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, anxious, what's going to happen to my business? What's happening with my family? Am I in danger with my health? So making sure that you really understand that customer and who they are was really critical. So we heard a lot of messages. We're in this together. We heard the new normal. We heard all of those things to really unify our marketplace to be able to reach them. But now we're 6 months into this, 7 months into this, I guess it's 6. Now you've got a third type of customer. You've got the customer that is realizing, okay, this is our new way of life for now. We're moving forward. So what can we do? Our whole world has been disrupted. If you think about it, our work lives, our home lives, how we consume media, how we purchase, what we value, like everything has been shifted. So what can we look at with the customers, what they need now? And what the big idea to take away from this is the customers that you had no longer exist. They are now pandemic customers. They have new problems. They have new priorities. So what do you need to do in your business to shift your product line and offerings to meet these new problems? Or if you still connect with their problems, how do you need to shift your message? And that is the advice I would give business owners heading into 2021. If you're using a pre-pandemic message, you're talking to a client who is no longer existing.
Lisa, what do you find from the clients that you talk to, from the companies you talk to, more effective, as far as business goes? What tools are they implementing? What are they changing that they weren't doing before the pandemic?
Well, I think the thing that has become very apparent to business owners is if you did not have an online presence, you need to have one. I'm very active in networking. And in those first couple of weeks, people were trying to figure out, how do we network if we can't go to coffee? How do we reach people? How are people going to find me? And, if you look even at restaurants, they had to do a quick pivot. How do we get people to consume our food? How do we make them feel like they're safe? So being online and making sure that your customer experience online is seamless, that has been the big shift that I've seen with most people, is figuring out, okay, how do I go online? And products.
You know what's interesting? I think in the restaurant business especially, it was easier, right? Mm-hmm. Because you had Yelp, you had DoorDash, you had Grubhub, you had all these businesses. If you wanted food, you would go out and you find it. Where you could go. Problem is with a place that, like a yoga place or a soap maker type of store, it's difficult, right? Because people aren't quite looking for that, and they may want it, but they just don't know. So there's that two-sided edge to that, right? I agree with you. You have to be online, but it's way more difficult for some businesses than others, I would imagine.
Yes, definitely is. So we saw a lot of people in the health and fitness space go online and start having virtual yoga classes, things such as that. We found brick and mortar stores suddenly had to have an e-commerce site. But the other thing too, we have this opportunity of where we may have been marketing within a geographical area, is now we could extend our services, nationally. You can network nationally or internationally. I'm working with a couple of clients who did work with local Atlanta businesses or local Atlanta clients, and now their clients are all across the United States. So how do they find them? How do they reach them? How do they connect with them?
It's easy to understand the power of being online. And I visit business owners and I look at their websites all the time. And it's a pandemic in itself, how bad some of these websites are. People don't put a lot of attention. When you look at a website, someone doing it right, what are some of the things, maybe not technical, but what are some of the things that you find helps business owners be more reachable and successful online?
Yeah. So the first thing, as we talk about websites, Karl, the thing I would invite people to do is, if you think you have a great website, look at 2 or 3 of your competitors and go to their websites. And what you're going to find, it's very likely you're all saying the same thing. So what you have to do is figure out, how am I going to stand out? There's a couple of different ways to do that. So the immediate piece of advice I can give all your listeners today, you can go and do this and start making money tomorrow, is make sure you have clear call to action buttons, and you want them all over your homepage. So you want one in the upper right-hand corner. In that hero shot area, you want one in the middle of that hero shot area, and make sure those call to action buttons are a different color than the rest of your website. Make sure they're the same color throughout as you cascade down the page. As you scroll down the page, make sure there's always a call to action button in the screen as well as in the upper right-hand corner, because here's what happens. The visitor may not be ready to purchase from you, or may be ready to take the next step with you initially, but as they scroll down the page and start learning more about you, oh, now I want to know more. And so you want to make it convenient. We call that call to action button your cash register. So why would you hide your cash register in the back ladies' room? You want to make sure they're all over the place, right? So that's one thing you can do to start making money today. So that's one thing, if that's helpful to you.
It is.
Yeah.
No, that's great advice. The other thing is, there's this thinking around Google pay-per-clicks and Facebook ads and so on. How do business owners use those to integrate with their website?
Yeah, so there certainly is a place for paid ads. And, the thing is you start with your website. You want to make sure that Google recognizes your website as a quality website too. So I'm going to answer your question, Karl, but I'm going to kind of connect these two. First of all, Google's going to try and watch and monitor to see, are people, when they're on your website, are they staying on it long? If they can register that they're staying on it long, that signals to Google there is quality content on there. So again, your message is so important. So when you go to a website, you should be able to immediately know what the business does. It is astounding the number of business websites I see. I can't tell what they do. I have to know what you sell. What do you do for me? Making sure that you are updating content. And so that would be having a blog on your website, talking about topics that people have questions about. And, people say, I don't know what to write in a blog. Think about this. What are the top 5 questions people ask you about your business? Those will be your first 5 blog topics. And so putting those on there, that's going to give you some organic reach with SEO in that. But then when you get to ads, paid ads, that's when you can drive people to your website, whether it's Facebook ads and Google ads. And I recommend not trying to do it yourself. Work with a digital marketing specialist who knows what they're doing. I believe in paying experts for what they know so well.
There's a subset of business owners that I know struggle in this space, and it's in the professional services, lawyers, accountants, etc. Very smart, very talented in their business profession, but when it comes to marketing themselves, maybe not as strong, and their content can be confusing to the layman, explaining the intricacies of tax law or how to get over a speeding ticket or whatever that might be. For those types of businesses, how can their messaging on their website help them? What would be something they can do to guide people in?
Yeah, so a really great way to do that, because, here's the thing. We want those experts. And when you need someone like that, you want someone who knows what they're doing, who knows all the intricacies and, the ins and outs of how to practice their profession very well. But what happens is when you speak with them, because they are so educated and they're so good at what they do, you'll find a lot of times they tend to use what we call insider language. So they'll use industry terms, and when they start using those, the person reading the website or the person listening to the message, what goes on in their mind is they say, I don't know what that means. So they either get stuck trying to figure it out, what are they talking about, or they just stop listening because it's too much work to try and keep up with the person communicating the message. So that is one thing I would advise for those folks, is to stop using insider language. And so make your website as if a 10-year-old could read it and understand it. You want the language to be that simple. You will be able to bring in your credibility and authority the longer people stay on your website. But that would be the first thing I would suggest. The second thing I would suggest is make sure that you really get to the problem that your customer has. And here's the thing. Traditional marketing was talking about the business. Today, great marketing is being known for the problem that you solve. So I'll use a tire store for an example. This one I use quite frequently. So if I sell tires, I am not selling tires. That's not the problem I solve if somebody needs tires. The problem I'm solving is someone needs to have a vehicle that is safe on the road because they have quality tires. The problem I'm solving is someone has to turn in their car for a lease and they've got to update their tires so it meets qualifications. So look at, for the customer, what is that pain they are experiencing? How is it making them feel? And being known for solving that problem, that is the way that you go in as a professional service provider and speak to them.
It's interesting as you're saying that. It made me think of this concept around demand generation and leading the customer to discover or clarify the problem they have, and if you're the person that helps them do that. In a lot of professional services, I talked to someone the other day, a client the other day, and they were concerned about, they took out PPP loans and EIDL loans this year. And so as they're going through, I mentioned to them, they have to process or apply for forgiveness. They looked at me kind of shocked. You mean it doesn't happen automatically? And so I know lots of financial advisors and CPAs and accountants and folks that help in that area. No one's talking about that problem that's out there that people may not know. And is that an example of some blog and or content around that particular problem that would help someone find a professional service site?
That is a very timely and perfect example, Karl, because so these people walked into these situations, okay, this is great. You're telling me I can get this money. How does this work? They were very good about leading them to it. But now is the next step of now you've got to apply for forgiveness. Well, these people don't know how to do it. What does that look like? How do I do? Is there a way I could do it and mess it up? Please help me figure that out. So that is the next step of, when the bank says, okay, now it's time, or when wherever you were able to secure it says, okay, now it's time to start moving along. We have no idea of what that means. So you've got to spell that out as well. Yes, great example.
Well, if I could ask a little about some of the more traditional forms of marketing. This year, I don't know how many movies were released between March and September, but no one's watching ads between movies anymore. What is the role of these other different vehicles, whether it's ads in papers and magazines and those types, direct marketing? What role does that play in marketing today? And should people still be investing in those?
So yes, there's a lot of different types of marketing. And that's the thing, when you talk to someone that has a marketing company, that could mean a dozen different things, a dozen different directions. And people are always looking for quick fixes. But I really, the way I describe marketing is, imagine you were going on a cross-country trip. Your goal is to get to the other side of the country. You would not think of getting in your car and just starting to drive without putting gas in the tank and making sure you have snacks. And you might, plug in your GPS where you're going, or, you've got your Google Maps. You make a plan. You don't get in your car and just start driving wherever you want. Well, that's what people do with their marketing. So, okay, I need to market. Maybe I'll try direct mail. Oh, no, we don't do direct mail because, I don't use direct mail. So why would anybody else use that? But, here's a really great rate. Or maybe I'll try these Facebook ads and I'll boost the post myself. Well, maybe, so they're all over the place. So the first thing I would recommend for any business owner is to just sit down with someone who knows what they're talking about in marketing and develop a strategy. Come up with a 12-month plan, a 6-month plan, a 3-month plan, allocate some budget to it, because your business will grow in one of two ways. Your business is either going to grow by innovating, so that's changing up, pivoting, doing something better, or it's going to grow by marketing. So you've got to make that investment one way or the other. And when you start seeing traction, that's when you'll have, more to be able to boost from. But you're not going to have that traction. You're going to be wasting your money if you start going into different areas that don't apply to you. And I think what happens, a lot of business owners, they've got their buddy that did this, or they know of this other company, their competitors doing this, so they think they need to do it too. And that's probably the worst thing they can do.
I'll offer up, if I could add to that, for business owners out there. There's three numbers I'll share: 4, 8, and 12%. When I look at a P&L for a business and I'm looking at trend over time, I notice how much percentage of their revenue they're spending on marketing, and I look at their growth rate. And what's often, if you want to benchmark for a mature business that's been around and known for a while, some of those can get away with between 4 to 8% spend on marketing if they want to grow. They want to stay flat, they don't have to spend on marketing. But if they want to grow their top line revenue, 4 to 8% is what your competitors, what other people are spending normally to grow. If you're a new business or you're a business that needs some explaining or new to an area, you're talking about 8 to 12% range, depending. If your product is known, but you're a new company offering something that's known, you might be able to get away with 8%. If you're offering something new and no one else is offering it and you want them to build awareness, you're talking close to 12%. I offer those numbers because it is extremely consistent looking at the spend on marketing correlating to how people grow their business. Mm-hmm. Now, the ones you'll always have a family friend that says, I spend nothing on marketing and my business keeps growing. That is the anomaly.
Yes.
They're innovating, they're doing something different, mm-hmm. or there's something that's giving them a competitive advantage, or they are marketing without spending. So talking about personal branding, talking about other ways to gain audience without spending for it. Can you comment a little bit on that?
Yes, sure. This is one thing that as we have been in this situation, we're seeing a lot more people on LinkedIn. I don't know if you're active on LinkedIn or not, but we're seeing a lot more of that. And there's a lot of people that don't know how to use LinkedIn and how they can really leverage it. So, here's the thing that I tell people, particularly when you're in an industry that there's a lot of other people who do what you do. People don't want to do business with business. They want to do business with people. And so what makes your business different from every other business out there is you. And so being able to feature your zone of genius, being able to show your authority, your expertise, your credibility, one way to do that is to really work through a personal branding process. Now, personal branding is not all about saying, hey, look at me. It's not about becoming an Instagram influencer. It's not about being any of those. It's really being very strategic about understanding how do you show up online? Is that how you want to show up online? What do you need to do to shift that if it's not where you want it to be? And how can you position yourself as a credible expert that people would trust to do business with you? So that is something that I really encourage people to do, whether you work for a company or whether you own your own business. The only thing you own when you leave your business is your personal brand. So it's well worth the investment to spend the time to do that.
I love that you mentioned that. I'm curious about your thoughts on integrating your personal brand, your personas, if you want to call it, professionally and personally. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of these, TikTok, they have different use cases for different applications. But I've seen more people, especially in 2020, there's a lot of issues out there that people are commenting on, whether it's social justice for gender or race or others, political items, things about climate change and others. People are voicing their opinions across spectrums that interweave with their expertise in their business. Any thoughts on how to manage that? And is that a good idea, or what would you advise people to do with that?
It's what I advise business owners is what I've always told my children. Anything that you put out there online will follow you and can be found. And if it's something that you aren't willing to put on a billboard and have your grandmother see, then don't put out there. If it's not something that you're not willing to share in your next job interview, don't put it out there. There are filters, but still there are ways to get through those. You just always have to be conscious of whatever you are putting out there represents who you are, and it does follow you. So there are appropriate channels, and then there are ones that maybe you need to just have a conversation with a friend.
I'm curious about, there's the professional sphere, but there's all these businesses that are coming up in this entertainment mixed with business. Yeah. So you could take the example of a local ice cream shop or fitness business where it is a business and they have consumers, but it's also a culture and a group and a community that they're building that reflects certain beliefs and their personal. How can those types of businesses leverage both social media and how they brand themselves?
Right. So it's a great opportunity. And I don't want to, imply that you always have to stay buttoned up. I think you have to really look at who is your ideal client. Who are you trying to attract? If you are on LinkedIn, you're trying to attract a different crowd than what you'll probably find on Instagram or Pinterest or TikTok or Facebook. Those all have different feel to it and different clientele. So if you are an ice cream shop and you've got music going on, you've got certain culture, whatever, they're trying to attract a certain niche of the audience. They need to be who they are. They need to be authentic. They need to be transparent, but they also need to be respectful of their audience.
Okay. I'm also curious, just comment, and maybe Rico as well, when you interact with people online in a lot of your publications and your content out there, have you found examples of people doing it really well? Can you give us an example of where you saw people blend those different personas well online?
I can't think of one person that comes to mind right now, but here's what I see as a trend. It's people who are sharing their expertise, they're generous, and they're humble. So they are out there, they're being servant leaders. They understand what their customers need. They're very generous with it because they believe in the law of reciprocity. You know, if I give to you and I'm giving freely and it's this valuable, imagine what you're going to get if you pay to work with me. I mean, that's the message that they're sending. So I think that is a great lesson for all of us, is we are here to serve in our businesses. We're here to serve our clients. And one way to attract clients is to let them see what you're about. Let them experience you before they pay you anything. I think that would be a good model to follow.
That would probably be about 1% of politicians, by my guess.
Yes, they don't fall into that trend very easily.
Not really. No.
No, that's fabulous advice. Well, I'd like to, if folks wanted to get in touch with you and learn more about just marketing and ways that they can improve for themselves, what are some ways folks can get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am on LinkedIn. It's Lisa McGuire, LisaMcguire. I'm also at lisamcguire.com. And they can also call 678-520-7660.
Well, as we're getting into the fall and you're starting to get busy with helping clients grow, is there anything you have coming up, or what do you have coming up over the next quarter? What are your plans?
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I am a StoryBrand certified guide, so I'm affiliated with the StoryBrand company, and they have a sector of their business called Business Made Simple. businessmadesimple.com. And so it is a series of online courses. They really propose it's the same thing as the MBA, only we're going to save you $50,000 from that MBA. It's a 1-year subscription or 1-year license for $275, and they have courses on creating your mission, marketing, message, productivity, communication, scaling your business. So I am being certified as one of their Business Made Simple coaches. So right now I'm in the process of clients, coaching clients, or really business growth advising is what I do. I think there's a lot of coaches out there, and a lot of coaches end up being cheerleaders. This is not the case. I really believe on providing frameworks and valuable tools that we can help make a difference in your business grow, whether it's in revenue, whether it's in culture, whether it's just the business owner growing as a business leader and becoming more proficient in what they do.
Oh, that's fabulous. As you mentioned when we started, a lot of people get into business to do what they love.
Yeah.
And that's their operational expertise, and they started making money there. I think the lesson is to transform or to grow into becoming a true, sustainable, long-lasting business. You got to evolve. And so the other pieces in the tool belt that you got to build is some financial smarts, some marketing smarts, how to recruit people, some HR smarts, to really become a fully well-rounded business leader. And if there's a way for them to get it without spending $50,000 and taking a year or two out to get an MBA, I think that's a good ROI on an investment. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much.
That's great. Well, I want to thank Lisa McGuire, who is a business growth advisor and a marketing consultant with Open Window Marketing. Thank you for your insights, for sharing your experience, and to help every business owner figuring out little nuggets of things they can do to improve their business. I'm Karl Barham with Transworld Business Advisors of Atlanta Peachtree, and we are going to continue to help business owners post this shutdown period of the pandemic, figure out their best way to grow their business, improve. We can do that by helping them to franchise their business. We can do that by helping them to acquire their business. And for those that are ready to relax on a beach somewhere, we can help them find a buyer and help them get their business sold. So you can reach me at kbarham@tworld.com, or you can visit our website at www.tworld.com/Atlanta Peachtree. Hey, Rico, why don't you tell us what you've got coming up?
Sure. First, I want to tell people that I totally enjoy talking to Karl off camera because I learn a lot from Karl. Okay, I own my own business or businesses, and invaluable insight from Karl, and along with our other guests. I mean, Lisa had some good, great, valuable insight here, and we've done 40 of these, 40 plus.
We're up to 47.
47.
Gonna hit 50 soon.
There's a ton of sage advice out there that we've learned, so I'm always happy to be on a show like this where we get more because I'm constantly learning. I own my own business marketing, mightyrockets.com. Everyone that watches this show knows that. We publish Peachtree Corners magazine, which is coming out again every 6 weeks. We sort of wrap ourselves around the next issue, and we put this out 6 times a year. So next issue is coming out around the first week of October, and we're going to have great backyard retreats. We're profiling 5 local backyards that we feel are exceptional for a variety of reasons. So we're doing that. We're doing Pets and Their People giveaway, and that's going to be pulled out in the next issue as well. And we're going to have, probably get 4,000 or 5,000 pictures of people and their pets that have been submitting. So we have this contest going right now. So if you haven't entered, go to our Facebook page or to our website, enter it. All you have to do is submit a picture of you and your pet and, tell us a little bit about you all. And then we're going to pick 3 winners at the end of that. So we're doing that. We're doing a bunch of other stories within that publication. It's going to be chock full of things as it usually is. And, I'm still working with clients as well, doing some of their marketing, online content and stuff. So if you need to reach me and you want to be able to do some of that work and you need someone to do it, mightyrockets.com is the place to go. livingin.peachtreecorners.com is the place to find the magazine and our family podcast. And I just launched the capitalistsage.com website. Just the beginnings of it. So it's shallow on content right now. We're adding all the podcasts that we're doing, that we've done. So you'll find some of that there. We're going to be adding over the next few weeks. So check that out. Leave your name and an email address, and certainly you'll be reached back out to again.
And if I can, I want to spark an idea in honor of the theme of today, marketing. I think you're still accepting ads if somebody would like to do ads for the magazine. Are you still?
Sure.
You can reach out for that. So for people in Peachtree Corner and surrounding area, if you want to increase your visibility, traditional marketing method also still work, but you can reach out to Lisa to help you with your messaging, and Rico if you'd like to have an ad added.
Yeah, so if you do, our deadline is September 22nd for the print magazine for the October-November issue. But, we come out 6 times a year. Plus, it's not just print. You'll get exposure in a variety of places, online on our Facebook page, on Instagram, on Twitter, LinkedIn. So if you're an advertiser with us and you have that type of package, we're providing some of that online as well.
So if you didn't get the message, post-pandemic, your customers have changed. You need to talk to them. So take advantage.
Good.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on the Capitalist Sage podcast. You'll find us on all of your streaming channels, iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, on YouTube, on Facebook. Just go and explore Capitalist Sage and, pick up something, apply it, and we'll be happy to continue to give you great episodes. Thank you.
Thanks.
This has been the Capitalist Sage with Karl Barham and Rico Figliolini, the twice-a-month podcast with entrepreneurs and business experts. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Want more? Visit our website at capitaliststagepodcast.com.